Good evening, Disturbed Christmas folks. I'm Alexa, resident Ookie Spooky Girly, and while I've had my Christmas playlist on a loop for a while now, I'm only partway through my annual holiday movie watch list. So question for you, what are the movies you have to watch every Christmas? Personally, I always have to watch The Santa Claus, Barbie and the Nutcracker, a million other Nutcracker adaptations, and a bunch of Disney specials. But let me know your list in the comments, and welcome to the top 5 disturbing Christmas movies you were warned not to watch. Number 5, The Gingerdead Man. So this is a 2005 American comedy slasher film directed by Charles Band. Now, Gary Busey stars as the titular Gingerdead Man, and the film's poster alone was enough to send me into nightmare territory. The horror website BLOODY Good Horror gave the film a negative review, stating it's one of the shortest yet hardest films I've ever seen. Yeah, criticisms were directed at the film's humor and its writing. According to Horror Society, this film lacks a plot and makes very little sense, and the review stated the acting was atrocious and insanely stupefied. Like many other full moon properties, the film spawned a franchise of sequels, crossovers, shorts, and comic books, as well as merchandise. Yeah, let's see if I can try and figure out the plot. So spoiler alert everybody, because I tried earlier. I was messaging my friends and I'm like, I don't even know how to describe this. So in a diner, crazed killer Millard Findelmeyer opens fire on the Lee family, killing Jeremy and James, but leaving Sarah and her mother Betty alive. Now he's eventually arrested and sentenced to die in the electric chair, after which he's, cremated, and his ashes are sent to his mother, a witch, who mixes the ashes with a gingerbread spice mix. Now Sarah and Brick Fields, another bakery employee, find that mysterious mix left on their doorstep of their bakery by Findelmeyer's mom. Now they decide to, hey, why not? Let's use this mystery mix. We have no idea what it is. But Brick accidentally, nicks himself, unknowingly allowing his human redness to pollute the dough. So Sarah permits him to leave, go home, take care of yourself. But then she makes a large gingerbread man with the contaminated mysterious dough mix and puts it in an industrial oven to bake. Now, Lorna comes back, the mom, and she plants a rat in the bakery, so the health department's gonna shut them down. But Sarah's like, gotcha, busted. So they get into a fight, and then Lorna hits a switch, which causes a surge of electricity into the oven where the gingerbread man is cooking, and brings it to life. Now, Amos Cadbury, yep, that's a name, Lorna's boyfriend, who's waiting for her and he's getting a little bored, he comes in while Sarah's taking the gingerbread man from the oven, at which the newly dubbed Gingerdead Man leaps up, taunting them. Now everybody's like, what the heck? So they try to lock the living cookie in the freezer, and Sarah tries to call the police, but the phone's not working. Line's dead. Now Betty comes home after being out, but she loses a finger and she's put into the oven. Okay, Hansel and Gretel. Well, Julia's knocked out by a frying pan. Okay, Rapunzel, encased in frosting, decorated, and left in the freezer. We get another character, Jimmy Dean arrives to pick up Lorna, and while he investigates, Amos's car, the gingerbread man takes Jimmy's car and using a rolling pin to operate the accelerator, kills him by pinning him between the car and a wall. Now, Amos and Sarah discover and rescue Julia from the freezer, and Sarah tells Amos that she thinks the killer cookie is Millard. Gee, I wonder. Now, Lorna's waiting outside for her dad, but discovers only his body sprawled over the hood of his car. She heads back inside, where she triggers a tripwire that lodges a sharp kitchen utensil into her forehead, which, that's the end of her. Now, Sarah and Amos admit their feelings for one another before they find Betty and attempt to rescue her from the oven, but the dead man locks Sarah in the oven and knocks Amos out with a hammer. But he recovers, he gets the oven doors lock off and saves Sarah! Brick returns to help, but the Gingerdead Man grabs his grabs Amos's pistol, and opens fire. So then Julia and Brick manage to subdue him, and Brick eats the cookie's head. But then, oh, here we go. Brick is possessed by the Gingerdead Man. He attacks Sarah before she's rescued by Amos and Julia, who push Brick into the oven and turn the heat on full, finally killing him. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up. I see a little bit of, other fairy tale influences, so watch this at your own risk, I suppose. I'll pass. Number 4, Silent Night, Deadly Night. So this is a cult classic, a really great Christmas slasher, and it's the terrifying tale of a department store Santa who goes on a killing spree after catching 2 people getting intimate and having flashbacks to, his horrible youth. Okay folks, plot detail time, big spoiler warning. So back in 1971, year-old Billy Chapman and his family visit a nursing home in Utah where his catatonic grandfather is, hanging out. Now when Billy's parents leave the room, his grandfather suddenly wakes up and tells Billy to fear Santa Claus as he punishes the naughty. Okay, Christian guilt. On the way back home, a criminal dressed in a Santa suit attempts to carjack the family, and as Billy's father tries to drive away, the criminal, kills him and then harms Billy's mother before her throat. Billy flees and hides, leaving his brother Ricky in the car. Now, flash forward 3 years later, December, Billy and Ricky are celebrating Christmas in an orphanage run by Mother Superior, a very strict disciplinarian who thumps wards who misbehave and considers punishment to be a good thing. Now another sister, Sister Margaret, tries to help Billy, but he's regularly punished. Now on Christmas, the orphanage invites a man in a Santa suit to visit the wards. Billy, forced to sit on his lap by Mother Superior, punches the man before fleeing to his room in horror. Alright, cut forward 10 years later. Don't worry, it's relevant. In the spring of 1984, Billy, now 18, leaves the orphanage for a normal life and obtains a job as a stock boy at a local toy store with support from Sister Margaret. At the store, he develops a crush on his coworker Pamela. He has some naughty thoughts, which are often interrupted by, morbid visions of his parents' deaths. On Christmas Eve, the employee who plays the store Santa Claus is injured and Billy's boss, Mr. Sims, makes him take his place. After the store closes, the staff has a Christmas Eve party. Now Billy's still in the Santa suit and he's trying to have a good time, but he's got those memories of his parents' deaths still haunting his brain, causing him to, feel depressed. So he sees his co-worker, Andy, making out with, Pamela, and they go into the back room. Billy walks after them and sees Andy trying to harm Pamela, which, triggers his insanity. He, takes a string of lights, good old rope necklace to Andy, and declares that punishment is good, and then ends Pamela with a box cutter. Next up, on his kill list, Mr. Sims and his manager, Mrs. Randall. Now Sister Margaret somehow discovers the carnage and returns to the orphanage to get help. Billy breaks into a nearby house where a young couple named Denise and Tommy are having coitus, if you will, and a young girl named Cindy is sleeping. He impales Denise on a set of deer antlers and throws Tommy through a window. When this awakens Cindy, Billy asks if she has been nice or naughty. She says nice, and he gives her the box cutter. Okay. After this, he witnesses bullies picking on 2 teenagers and stealing their sleds and decapitates one of the with his axe. As he were. The next morning, the orphanage is secured with Officer Barnes and Captain Richards and aided by Sister Margaret, who, she knows Billy's behind all the killings. Billy confronts Mother Superior, who is now in a wheelchair, and she taunts Billy due to her disbelief in Santa Claus, and just as he prepares to kill her, Richard, gets him in the back. Billy drops to the floor and tells the wards, "You're safe now, Santa Claus is gone," before dying from his injuries. Now, Ricky's witnessing this, and he's coldly staring at Mother Superior and utters, "Naughty." Now this is probably one of the better known Christmas horror movies with its outrageous performances, lo-fi style, and notoriously sequel, 50-50. It is directed by Charles E. Sellier Jr. and stars Robert Brian Wilson, Lillian Chauvin, Gilmer McCormick, Tony Nero, Linnea Quigley, Britt Leach, and Leo Gitter. The film was released by TriStar Pictures on November 9th of 1984, where it received substantial controversy over its promotional material and content, which featured a killer Santa Claus. In addition to receiving mixed reviews, it was actually pulled from theaters a week after its release. However, it was a success during its opening week, grossing $2.5 million on a budget of $750,000. So since its release, it has developed a cult following, and it's got a series, 4 sequels. It's doing great. But would I recommend watching it on Christmas? Not if you're squeamish. Number 3, Krampus. If European folklore is to be believed, those on the naughty list should look out for Krampus's, half goat, half demon, who punishes bad people, each Christmas season. This tongue-in-cheek horror movie follows a dysfunctional family, played by, Toni Collette and Adam Scott, who have to survive a deadly Krampus attack. So imagine this, a picturesque holiday scene with the Engel family eagerly preparing for the festivities. We've got the parents, Tom and Sarah, daughter Beth, son Max, and Tom's German-speaking mother, known as Omi, are all caught up in the whirlwind of Christmas traditions. But as the tension brews, a storm of dysfunctionality threatens to overshadow the joy of the season. Now, picture young Max, a staunch believer in the magic of Santa Claus, despite the chaos unfolding around him. He writes a heartfelt letter to the jolly old man, only to have his cousins mockingly expose its contents. In a fit of frustration, he tears up the letter and sends it soaring out the window into the cold wintry night. But little does he know, this seemingly innocent act sets off a chain of events that would make even the most seasoned horror aficionado shudder. A fierce blizzard descends upon the town, plunging it into darkness. Now Beth, venturing out to check out, Good God. Beth, now venturing out to check up on her boyfriend, encounters a horned creature in a malevolent jack-in-the-box. As the family becomes entangled in a nightmare series of events, it becomes clear that something supernatural is afoot. Soon the family faces a demonic force named, you guessed it, Krampus, a harbinger of punishment for those who lose the Christmas spirit. Omi reveals her own chilling encounter with Krampus in her youth, describing how her loss of hope led to the disappearance of her community. The family, initially skeptical, is thrust into a surreal battle against menacing toys, Gingerdead Man, not dead, and the nightmarish Krampus himself. Now this family's attempt to escape to safety is fraught with peril. As they confront Krampus at the edge of a fiery pit, Max, the unwitting catalyst for these horrors, bleeds for the safety of his family. family. However, in a chilling twist, the nightmare seems to fade away as Max wakes up on Christmas morning, surrounded by his seemingly unscathed family. Yet the eerie aftermath unfolds as the family exchanges troubled glances, and a sinister snow globe reveals the extent of Krampus' influence, with hundreds of other trapped households in his icy grip. Watch at your own risk, folks. Number 2, Black Christmas. So this film, originally titled Silent Night, Evil Night in the United States and retitled Stranger in the House on television screenings, is a 1974 Canadian slasher film produced and directed by Bob Clark and written by A. Roy Moore. It stars Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea, Margot Kidder, Andrea Martin, Lynn Griffin, and John Saxon. The story follows a group of sorority sisters who receive threatening phone calls and are eventually stalked and killed by a deranged killer during the Christmas season. Inspired by the urban legend The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs and a series of killings that took place in the Westmount neighborhood of Montreal, Quebec, Moore wrote the screenplay under the title Stop Me. Now, the filmmakers made numerous alterations to the script, primarily the shifting to a university setting with young adult characters. It was shot in Toronto in 1974 on an estimated budget of $686,000 and was distributed by Warner Brothers in North America. Upon its release, it received mixed reviews, but it has since received critical reappraisal, with film historians noting it for being one of the earliest slasher films. It has also been praised for its influence on John Carpenter's Halloween. Aside from earning a cult following since its release, a novelization written by Lee Hayes was published in 1976. It is the first film in the Black Christmas series, being followed by 2 remakes in 2006 and 2019 respectively. Number 1, Don't Open Till Christmas. This one is a 1984 British slasher film directed by Edmund Purdom and starring, him, Alan Lake, Belinda Main, and Gary Sundquist. In the dimly lit alleyways of this holiday thriller, a Santa-suited man and a woman embark on an illicit encounter, only to meet their demise at the hands of a masked figure with a sinister, translucent grin. The twisted narrative unfolds as Santas across the town fall victim to gruesome fates, each more disturbing than the last. Chief Inspector Ian Harris and Detective Sergeant Powell find themselves entangled in the web of a Christmas-themed killing spree. Now, the victims, including a Santa skewer during a party, paint a chilling picture of a killer with a penchant for holiday horror, if you will. Yeah, I love my alliteration. The investigation takes an ominous turn when a mysterious present arrives with a foreboding message. Yeah, you guessed it, don't open till Christmas. As the body count rises, suspicions cast shadow on Kate's boyfriend Cliff. The narrative weaves through seedy locations where Santas meet, grisly ends. The killer's intent becomes more macabre as they plan to sacrifice Sherry as the embodiment of the Christmas evil. Undercover officers don Santa suits in a desperate attempt to catch the elusive killer, but the carnival becomes a redness-soaked battleground. The plot thickens with revelations around Harris, his mysterious past, and a disturbing family connection. Kate's suspicions intensify as she unravels the mystery, leading her to Parklands, a mental institution, and a shocking revelation about Harris and Giles. Now, in a horrifying climax, Giles, Harris's estranged brother, reveals a traumatic, youthhood incident that scarred him for life. The narrative takes a surreal turn as Harris unwraps a gift, a music box from his loving brother, only to meet a deadly demise as it unleashes a fatal explosion. The tale concludes with a jarring twist, leaving us questioning the thin line between familial love and holiday horrors. And that's the end of our list, which means it's time for me to go home and watch the Tiny Toons Christmas special. If you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more demented Christmas content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.